What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. New York Liberty in the building. Amanda Zahui. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So how's the Wnba season going for you so far?
It's all right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to get a win at some point?
Oh, we will.
It's only 3 games, right?
Yeah. Rough start, but we have a lot to improve on, and I think we already started after the 2 indie games. I think the LA game was a great receipt of how we changed our mindset.
Definitely. So you've been on a bunch of different teams, your whole career.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like about this team so far in the early stages?
I just love all the personalities together. I think we have a lot of fun on and off the court, and I think that's the most important thing. All the staff members are amazing, and I just love being in New York.
Well, you're spending so much time with the players and staff. You got to have a good vibe, or else it's going to be a really long season, right?
Right. And that's the cool thing about us. We come from all kind of different cultures and very different personalities when you look at us individually, but yet we find ways to just click, and that's what I love about us.
Definitely, and I'd love to hear about your backstory, because from what I understand, you didn't really want to play basketball at first.
No.
You were kind of forced into it.
Yeah, so I've always been overly tall compared to my peers, and it was just a time where my mom was like, well, you have to try something. My brother was playing soccer, and it was either volleyball or basketball, and she says that she played basketball once upon a time, but I don't really know how true that is.
You've never seen the receipt? No photos?
And then she just called into a basketball club, and I went to one practice and I fell in love, and here I am.
How old were you at that point?
10.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started kind of late.
Yeah, a little bit later, but still young enough where you can just do everything and develop in the right way.
Right. So I had a lot of fun my first practice, and I had no knowledge about basketball except MJ. So
that was your guy?
Yeah, no, I just knew he played basketball.
You just knew, that was it.
And nothing else.
So you're 10, you're starting to do your thing. When does basketball become a little bit more important? When are you starting to watch a little bit more? How does that all click?
It happened pretty fast because I fell in love with the game real fast.
It's a great game.
Yeah. And then I got called to go to the national team when I was 13 for the U16 girls, and that's when I was like, okay, maybe I'm okay.
I'm starting to do my thing a little bit.
Yeah. And then later on, we played under 16, the European Championship, and that's when I saw France play. And I remember exactly where I stood, how everything looked like, and that's when I was okay, I want to go pro. I want to be like these girls.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because you're just 13, 14, 15. You're just still developing into a person. You're already thinking about your pro career.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. So you're hanging out there in Sweden. You come over to America. What was the biggest culture shock for you when you got to America?
Well, on the court, it was just how it's a whole different game. In Europe, it's a lot of, more so teamwork, and we pass the ball around, and whoever has the best shot and most open is the one who's going to take the shot. In America, you have your centerpiece. The ball goes through that player, and then everything else builds around that. So going into college, that was my biggest culture shock, where I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so I'm sure freshman year was interesting for you in that regard.
Yeah, and I was actually redshirted the first year, or half a year. So when I came to practice, and it was a lot of trash talk. I talked a lot of trash, but when I came to college, I was like, cool, y'all about this. Y'all with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was definitely the biggest culture shock.
Well, that takes the game to a whole different level. When you're jawing with people the whole game.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I had she was a junior, and she just tried to run me over, but I was really big then. Yeah. And she was like, this is my team. And I was, is it?
Really?
Really? All right, wait.
We'll see about that.
Right. But we became really cool friends. So it was all love. It was just different back home. It was like, oh, I'm so sorry that I hurt you.
It's not like that here.
Yeah, no. Nobody cares about you.
And I think it was important that that's good to know. I think it was important, though, you stood your ground as a freshman, because if you just let that girl run you over and be like, all right, it's your team, it's your show, but you're like, nah, I'm not about that.
I mean, especially coming all the way from Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm going up to Minneapolis, I moved here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I can't just jump in my car and go home.
This is my life now.
Yeah. So I'm not about to let nobody run me over.
I like that.
Yeah.
So you had an excellent college career. When you think back on your time in Minnesota, how did you build things out there with the Gophers?
I just had great teammates, you know. Rachel Banham, obviously, is like a Minnesota legend, playing for the Sun right now. But we just have great chemistry together, and everyone around us helped us be excellent individually, but also as a team. And we had that glue that I talked about earlier that I have now with my teammates. We just all loved each other so much. We were so different, but when it came out to win, we ran for each other, you know? So, yeah, they definitely pushed me.
That's awesome. So you have this great career. You start playing basketball when you're 10, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're one of the top 3 picks in the WNBA draft. That must have been pretty wild for you.
Oh, yeah, that was surreal. That was definitely nothing I've ever dreamed of. I didn't even know the WNBA existed. I just wanted to go pro and play in Spain. And then coming from a little, I guess, hood in Sweden, and then sit and get drafted into the WNBA, hear your name being called up was sick.
It was big time.
It was sick. It was like I just walked up there, like I knew I just got drafted, and we had all the media and all the press after, and I knew I got drafted second. And I was like, okay, cool.
Like,
and then it hits you, like once you're on your plane back to campus, like, oh my God.
Wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
So when you're plopped down in Tulsa, that must have been culture shock for you in a different sense. So what was it like once everything settled in, you're in Tulsa, you're starting your career? What do you remember about that time in your life?
Well, I love Tulsa. So that was definitely like one of the greatest times in my career, just living in Tulsa. Very small, but once again, I've been very fortunate to have great teammates around me. But my first like memory of Tulsa was Courtney Parrish just putting up her forum, and she tried to post up, and I just failed.
Oh, wow.
And she just looked at me. You know, like Courtney Parrish is like the most amazing person ever. But she has this eyebrow that, like, she looks evil, but she's not. And she just looked at me and was like, welcome. And I was like, oh my God.
That's an incredible welcome to the WNBA story.
Yeah, no one has ever put me on my back by posting up. So I was like, okay, cool.
You're like, I got to work on some things. Yeah, these
Yeah.
are real strong women. So when you think about those first couple years in Tulsa, how did you build up your game to the point where it's like, I'm not going to get pushed down like that again?
It was a mental thing, definitely. We had a lot of post players. I played against Plynette Pearson every day in practice. I had to move from the 5 to the 4. Some situations I had to be the 3.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was just finding out who I was going to be as a professional athlete and not just be a post player like I've been in the past, finding out that I actually had a decent shot, build that, just get in a greater basketball shape, being able to keep up, just sprinting down the floor and be able to play defense without fouling. And it's still something that I'm working on, that whole finding out who I really am on a professional level in the W.
And it's tough because you have to adapt your game. You were playing one way for such a long time.
Right.
The league starts to change, and you're just still trying to get comfortable with everything.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that on a game-to-game basis?
Mental strength. It's tough. It's tough playing because you're bouncing around. You're trying to figure out what your role going to be one night. Some days in practice, you're figuring out, like, oh, I have to do this instead of this. I have to up my level on this side, but then I got to go slower over here. So it's all about being mental tough. And just if you really love it, put your heart and mind into it. We all know it's not going to be an easy road, no matter what you do in life.
Right.
So I just stay close to God. I'm trying to develop a stronger relationship with Him each day. And then I take one day at a time. I used to focus on the future, and I've learned that really doesn't benefit me. It might benefit others, but I have learned that I have to focus on me and like in the moment, and that's the only way I'm gonna be successful on and off the court.
And just be present with what's going on right now.
Exactly.
Because it's so easy to look to the next step and be like, all right, how can I become this player? But it's like, what about just right now in my life?
Absolutely.
Just appreciate that.
And I think as a young professional athlete, I focused on, well, I want to be this and that. I want to be like her. I want to do what she did, instead of just well, you got to get through today.
Right.
You got to get through today's practice, and you got to box Courtney Paris out on every possession. You know, you got to stop Lynette Pearson every time she shoots the ball or has the ball in her hand. And I think I kind of lost that sense that I've regained now, and I think that's why I'm more comfortable out on the court now.
Definitely. And then you go from Tulsa to New York, and that's a change for you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you get to New York, how long did it take you to settle in, and how did you deal with being moved?
Probably took me until now. But it was definitely a change. I didn't expect to get traded, so that whole part was also very tough. Like,
yeah, totally.
Oh, I failed, instead of thinking this is a new opportunity.
Right.
But Tina helped me a lot. I had Tanisha Wright was helping me a lot too, just talking to me. Carolyn Swords was an amazing support system, where she literally just took me under her wings and kept me up, pushing me into becoming a better me. Just like I said, like finding who you are on a professional level is different than an amateur in college or in high school. So it has taken me a lot of time, probably longer than what I wanted it to, but it happened in God's pace, and that's what I have to trust and be thankful for.
Typically the journey doesn't go as we think it's going to go.
At all.
And then God's like, hey, I got a different plan for you.
Right, and he's like, oh, you thought you were going to go that way? You going this way. Come back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it makes it all worthwhile, because now you're starting to make an impact. Like your game against the Sparks, like you're blocking everything in sight. And that must feel really good because of how much work you put in to get to that point.
Yeah. So that's like the whole not fouling part.
It's a tough thing.
Yeah, and I've been foul prone. So like just seeing that come into effect, and actually like I made it through one game, you know? So now I just got to keep on building on that and keep the same focus and stay being humble.
Definitely. So when Katie Smith is your assistant coach and now she's your head coach, how has that changed the relationship, and what does she bring to your team in terms of her coaching ability?
Well, I don't think it changed our relationship.
Same relationship?
I always respected her, and I always felt respected back. We have had great communication from day one. So I'm just happy that she's doing what she's loving and that she could be a head coach. She's a great coach. She has an amazing basketball IQ.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy that now she's not only on the sideline, but she's like the main one on the sideline, just fueling us with her knowledge and energy and her own experiences, you know. She's a great athlete, and I'm just thankful that she is my head coach. That's
awesome. And I'm thankful that people are watching the W now, because there's some great ball going on.
Absolutely.
And it's taken a long time for really to have a cultural moment where people appreciate it. But I feel like this year there's been a lot more coverage, there's been better ratings, new commissioner in the building. Like that all needs to happen in order to build this thing out.
Oh no, it's amazing. And like I said, like I didn't really know about the W until like colleges started reaching out, and you know, they used, well, we are close to this WNBA player, and I was like, oh, WNBA, okay.
Like, this sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and now, like, my younger cousins, they stay up at night and watch our games,
oh, wow. That's
or
cool.
they watch them after. I was like, oh, I want to be like Nneka. Like, my cousins want to be like Nneka and Shanae. I'm okay, well, y'all can be like me.
Can we keep it in the family?
Yeah.
The Wnbas are great, but come on.
Yeah, but it's cute because now younger players actually know about the WNBA, especially in Sweden.
No, that's a huge change. It wasn't like that for you when you were growing up there. So that's really cool. So you guys haven't won yet. It's still very early on in the season.
Right.
What needs to change in your mind to really make this a great season?
Well, I think we got to keep on building on what we did good in the LA game. We definitely turned the switch on, and just got to stay being aggressive and stay together. I think that's the main thing. It sucks to lose, and it's really tough, especially mentally, because you practice so hard and you put all of these hours into the gym, and then it doesn't come out the way you want to once you play the game. But if you stay together, then everything is possible, and I definitely think we have a special group.
Definitely. So you told me a story about getting knocked on your butt. Give me a story that's the opposite of that, whether it's blocking somebody, having a great post up on somebody in your entire WNBA career where you're like, yeah, that was something I'm going to remember for a while?
In my WNBA career.
Like, who'd you swat that you were like, yeah, that feels good?
I don't know if it felt good, but, well, actually, I blocked Brittany Griner when I played in Tulsa, and I was mad hype. And I was like,
I would be too.
Y'all seen that? And everybody was like, all right, run the other way. And I was like, oh,
you're like, you see how tall she is, right?
Yeah.
You know how good she is.
But then I like matching up against Liz Cambage. We definitely.
That's a fun matchup.
Yeah, we definitely play physical against each other, so that's always fun.
I like the battles with the bigs. You know, there's so much perimeter game, but the true basketball in the paint there, it's good stuff.
And like when you actually focus on it, you can see how much like contact we actually use.
Yeah. Oh, it's extremely physical. Yeah. Anybody that thinks differently is wrong.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. So when people watch your game, what are the big takeaways you want them to have, just in terms of the type of player that you are on the court?
How much energy I give my teammates. I think that's my main thing, and I just want to make sure that everyone has energy. Like when they tired, when they've been sprinting, I want to be that one person that gives an extra high five, that yells extremely loud when you get an and one or if you swat a shot. I just want to be the one that gives instead of taking.
I like it. Amanda, thanks so much.
Thank
Good to
you
meet
so
you.
much.
All right, everybody. See you next time here on The Sit Down.